The tale of Noah's Ark is one of the most cherished stories in the Old Testament. Noah spent years building the ark before the Great Flood arrived, bringing pairs of animals aboard. But beyond the familiar details lies a deeper narrative. Here's a look at the untold story behind Noah's Ark. One of the most famous alleged sites of Noah's Ark is the Durupanar site in Turkey, which certainly resembles a boat. According to Atlas Obscura, this formation was revealed after earthquakes and storms in the late 1940s. Despite its striking appearance, no credible evidence has ever confirmed it as the Ark's final resting place. In fact, during the first investigation in 1960, it was ruled out as a candidate. The formation, made of rock and hardened mud, lacks any timbers or iron fastenings one would expect in a large vessel. Even the fragments of supposed petrified wood found are likely from a mudslide. As for the claims of petrified animal droppings, they don't hold much weight either, considering animals have roamed the earth for millions of years. In 2010, a group of evangelical Christian explorers claimed they had discovered Noah's Ark near Mount Ararat summit in Turkey. National Geographic reported that the team found 7 large wooden compartments and carbon-dated the wood to around 4,800 years old, aligning with the biblical Noah story. Despite this, many remain unconvinced. NBC News suggests the structure is more likely an ancient shelter than a massive ark. Critics argue that such expeditions often lack proper skepticism, which hinders objective analysis. Stony Brook University archaeologist Paul Zemansky noted that approaching these searches with more critical thinking is essential, as definitive proof of the ark's existence remains elusive despite such findings. I don't know of any expedition that ever went looking for the ark and didn't find it. Flood stories aren't unique to the Old Testament. Many ancient cultures have their own tales of devastating deluges. Some scientists believe these myths may be rooted in actual events, even if they've been exaggerated over time. According to ABC, 2 Columbia University scientists proposed that the Black Sea was once a freshwater lake before being overwhelmed by seawater from the Mediterranean. This theory caught the attention of famed underwater explorer Robert Ballard, known for discovering the Titanic. In 1999, Ballard's team discovered an ancient shoreline 400 feet below the surface, and radiocarbon dating suggested the area was flooded around the time of the biblical Noah. Ballard also claimed to have found man-made structures, but details about the expedition have since faded. Today, Ballard's focus has shifted to other projects, including mapping the seafloor on the other side of the globe. While intriguing, the theory remains speculative, with no definitive link between the Black Sea flood and Noah's Ark. In 1872, Englishman George Smith uncovered a cuneiform tablet detailing a flood story strikingly similar to the biblical tale. According to the New Yorker, it described a man, a boat, and a catastrophic flood, complete with the mountaintop landing and the release of a dove. However, this Mesopotamian version differs in key ways. Instead of one god, a group of ancient deities decided to flood the world. Their reasoning wasn't humanity's corruption, but rather the annoyance humans caused them. Unlike the biblical account of divine judgment, this story suggests the god's decision was more out of frustration. It's a reminder that, in mythology, even the gods can be capricious when bothered. The cuneiform tablets also share the Noah story's detailed building instructions. While the Ark differs in design between the 2 accounts, both provide enough specifics that someone could theoretically build a similar vessel. The measurements and guidelines are there, ready for use, should anyone ever need to construct their own flood-proof boat. One of the key debates around Noah's Ark revolves around whether a vessel of that size could actually support the weight of so many animals. In 2014, a group of master's students from Leicester University aimed to answer this. Using the Bible's dimensions for the Ark, they calculated its buoyancy based on water density. According to their findings, the Ark could have carried up to 70,000 animals without sinking. Their study, as reported by The Telegraph, showed that despite the enormous task of loading so many creatures, the Ark would have stayed afloat, suggesting that, at least mathematically, the story holds up in terms of ship capacity.
And what do you know? It floats!
That was my plan all along.
Their conclusion, however, has some flaws. For instance, the calculations assumed the Ark would sit so low in the water that even small waves could have easily swamped it, especially during a 40-day storm. Additionally, the study only considered the animals' weight, not their size or the space needed to house them. Despite these limitations, the research still addressed a major question about the Ark's ability to carry such a large number of creatures, offering some insight into the feasibility of Noah's journey. So, that's a small victory. The Noah's Ark story sidesteps a major issue: genetics. After the flood, Noah's family would have been the only humans left, meaning their only options for repopulating the world were within their own family. Inbreeding, aside from being socially taboo, is scientifically proven to cause genetic problems. With just 8 people, the gene pool would be far too limited to sustain long-term population growth, making the idea of repopulating the world highly improbable from a genetic standpoint.
Okay, on the count of 3, say what level of cousins we would have to be for this to be okay. 1, 2, 3.
Fifth.
Unacceptable no matter what.
This is never gonna work.
History provides a clear example of why inbreeding is problematic. Take Charles II of Spain, who suffered severe disabilities, not learning to walk until age 8, largely due to the extensive inbreeding in his family. According to the BBC, his genetic makeup was more compromised than if his parents had been siblings. This is a stark reminder of the dangers of a limited gene pool, a concept that might also explain the infamous personality of Joffrey Baratheon.
I am the king!
This raises questions about how today's human population emerged from such a precariously small gene pool. The Bible provides precise dimensions for Noah's Ark, offering early readers tangible details in an otherwise unbelievable narrative. This specificity has inspired massive replicas at various attractions. A life-sized version opened in the Netherlands in 2012, attracting around 3,000 visitors daily and costing over $1 million to construct in just 3 years. Kentucky joined the trend in 2016 with its own life-sized replica dubbed Ark Encounter, located in Williamstown. This attraction features a variety of exhibits, including cages filled with dinosaurs, which might not appeal to those with a scientific mindset. These replicas highlight the enduring fascination with the Ark story, while also sparking discussions about its historical and scientific validity. Science poses significant challenges to the Noah's Ark narrative, with experts indicating a lack of evidence for a global catastrophic flood in the geological record. As highlighted by the Skeptical Inquirer, certain regions exhibit signs of aridity that align precisely with the time when Earth was thought to be submerged. Additionally, the presence of dunes and desert deposits across various locations suggests that if the world had indeed been flooded, these features would not exist. If a flood had engulfed the entire planet, we would expect most sedimentary rocks to be found on the ocean floor. However, the reality is that sedimentary rock is predominantly located on continents, contradicting expectations of a 5,000-year-old flood. The implications extend into archaeology as well, particularly in Turkey, where the Ark is said to have landed as the waters receded. Stony Brook University archaeologist Paul Zemansky has provided insights that further complicate the story, suggesting that the historical and geological evidence does not support the flood narrative as presented in religious texts. We know what's going on with Turkey archaeologically at that time, and there's no major interruption in the culture. Dangerous hobbies are nothing new. Many enthusiasts climb mountains without safety gear, leap off cliffs in wingsuits, or even engage in the quirky sport of extreme ironing. However, when these dangerous pastimes merge with an obsession and the quest for fame through discovery, the consequences can be dire. Over the years, numerous adventurers have become fixated on locating Noah's Ark. While many have joined organized expeditions that offer some safety, others, like Donald Mackenzie, have ventured out alone in pursuit of the legendary vessel. Tragically, Mackenzie's obsession led to his disappearance and presumed death. While attempting to reach a site identified in 2010, he was caught in an unexpected blizzard and vanished without a trace, highlighting the perilous nature of such quests. While it's possible the Ark had enough space for all the animals and could handle the weight without sinking, one pressing question remains. If it truly floated for 7 months, how was there sufficient storage for the vast amounts of food required to sustain such a large number of animals? Furthermore, how did just 8 individuals manage to care for them all during that extended period?
So I really have to be amongst these beasts?
Yes, sir.
All right. You don't have to hit them or nothing?
No, don't ever hit them.
Okay.
Those with zoo experience know that accommodating animals in confined spaces involves much more than merely feeding them and cleaning up waste. As noted by the National Centre for Science Education, each enclosure must be meticulously crafted to cater to the specific requirements of various species, including the height of food and water containers and the size of perches for birds. According to the tale, a dove helped Noah locate land by returning with an olive branch, signaling the flood's end. However, the Skeptical Inquirer notes that water and trees typically do not coexist well, raising questions about this detail.
I got it! Oh my God, it's right in the water! I gotta get it! I gotta get it! I gotta
The Bible states that Noah's Ark remained afloat for 5 months before landing atop Mount Ararat. However, a 2016 study revealed that an olive tree submerged for only 3 months perished, while grass died within a month underwater. This would leave herbivorous animals with no food upon exiting the ark. Additionally, Noah's vineyard, planted shortly after the flood, would likely have failed due to excessive salinity from the seawater, rendering the soil too salty to support plant life. Thus, everything would have been adversely affected by the salt.
Salt. Cracked black pepper.
That's only considering plant life. Reintroducing thousands of herbivores alongside their predators into the same ecosystem would drastically reduce their numbers. Without a significant time buffer, perhaps a decade or two, it's unlikely that both groups could coexist in sustainable numbers. For those familiar with Waterworld, the melting polar ice caps lead to a waterlogged world where humanity survives on makeshift vessels, endlessly hunting for the elusive dry land while resorting to drinking their own urine. Quite the imaginative scenario. A Waterworld-style scenario is highly implausible, as there simply isn't enough water on Earth to submerge the entire planet. The American Museum of Natural History estimates that if all ice melted, sea levels would only rise about 230 feet. While this would devastate coastal cities, it wouldn't come close to engulfing the entire globe. If a global flood did occur, it would have to recede and somehow disappear from the planet entirely. However, this issue is likely the least of the challenges facing the story.